Welcome in, everyone, to the Race Central Unplugged podcast. It's episode 5. Can't believe we're at 5. I said that last time, but I really can't believe we're already 5 episodes deep. I'm your host, Sydney Cora, right next to longtime motorsports insider Kurt Hansen, who is also your host. Kurt, what's going on?
Well, we're not actually right next to each other because you're about 40 miles away.
Virtually.
But we're virtually, we're neighbors.
Yeah.
So how is your day, Ms. Cora?
It's pretty good. I'm not going to lie. I mean, you said it was colder earlier, but today, I don't know. I feel like today's a good day.
Yeah.
It feels good outside to me.
Yeah. It looks like you're in prison.
Well,
Nice wall.
I am in a mental prison. Okay, because it's finals week.
Oh,
so
yeah.
So I am in a mental prison, but this is a new setup. I like it. I think plain is good.
Yeah. It reminds me like I'm watching the ID channel. They're talking to some guy, and then they get done with the interview, and they roll the green screen from behind him, and he's really in a prison. But just looks like he's in a room. So it keeps you guessing: is he dead? Is he alive? Is he not? But that's
Yeah, maybe we should put one of those one of those creepy masks on, and then change my voice.
That would be Paul Tracy did that a few years ago when he was racing a champ car. They were racing in Mexico City. And he put one of those like Matador or Conquistador or whatever the heck they call them. But he looked pretty scary. There's no doubt about that. Oh
yeah, well I should have showed up like Kanye West. Did you see Kanye West on Alex Jones? Do you know who Alex Jones is?
I do not. That's a different demographic. I just learned today he calls himself K or Way or some other system.
Yay. He calls himself Yay.
Yay.
Yeah, yay, like yay, it's biblical.
Is he okay? Well, speaking about Yay, is that guy okay?
I think Yay is okay. I think he's just on a different wave right now. Although he did say that he likes Hitler. So that's questionable. But,
well, who doesn't? It's a thing, right?
Who doesn't love Hitler?
Isn't one of his buddies Kyrie? The Earth is flat. Irving.
Well, that's not his buddy, but I don't even want to get into this. Everyone needs to know I'm a big Kanye fan. I don't know about the things he's been saying lately, but he's an interesting cat. You know
what he needs? A good virtual therapy session with Sid the Kid.
Oh, dude, that would be so sick. Like, hey, Kanye, please invest in Race Central because this is going places.
Look, yeah. I love that. So you've been, through all the years we've done the ESPN radio show on Fridays, you have listened to John Force enough times, you now know how to go to the shameless plug thing.
Yeah, dude, I mean, listen, Kanye could design. I don't know why Kanye doesn't get more involved in. So it's called Donda Academy, and it's sort of like a Christian-based school that he does, and they have club sports, and so they have Donda basketball. And the gear is the whole concept behind the team, and like the clothing that they wear is kind of cool. But he could seriously get into NASCAR and like sponsor a driver or something and like create the coolest stuff. Although that would be highly controversial.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, it would be highly controversial. But hey, let me ask you this: if Kanye West is sponsoring one driver out of all the sports, who's it going to be?
Actually, that's a really good question, and it's part of our topic today, Sydney, as we move away from the Kanye West podcast. To the Sydney Cora Kurt Hansen Race Central podcast.
No,
he's such a difficult guy to read. But if I had to just go to the low hanging fruit, Michael Jordan. Okay, there's a lot of pieces here. Michael Jordan, the whole 2311. I would think it'd probably be Bubba Wallace. It makes sense. I mean, there's a huge minority push there, African-American push there, much like there is at Trackhouse, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But I'd probably guess Bubba Wallace.
Yeah, well, I think Bubba Wallace is into sort of making like statements and like making moves. I mean, Jesus. I mean, we talked about it the other day when he like just went up to the guy and shoved him and like.
Kyle Larson. Yeah, that was a good idea.
That's a Kanye move. So I don't know. Maybe Bubba Wallace needs to. I mean, I think at this point, no one's hitting Kanye up for affiliation. But
You don't know. You don't know. Boy, we could start a really interesting rumor.
Yeah, hey,
Kanye West. No, Kanye West is going to start Donald Trump Racing LLC.
No, dude. Kanye West is sabotaging Donald Trump's candidacy.
Oh God. Yeah, let's get away from that.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, everyone. Listen. Leave a comment. Leave a Kanye comment. We love it. So.
Okay. I guess so.
Hashtag Yay24.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Kyrie Irving comment. That'll work too.
Yeah. We love it.
Since this is our theme, how about a Pitbull comment? Trackhouse racing.
Because Pitbull's in the same league as Kanye West. Anyways, so Justin Mark.
If you say so.
Okay, so let's get right into our first topic. Justin
Eventually.
Mark. So, yeah, what's the deal there?
Well, so it's an interesting story. And as I've said many times during the ESPN radio show, Fridays from 3 to 5 Mountain, by the way, AM 1600, you can also listen around the country and around the globe, streaming at RayCentralMedia.com. It's a great story, but I think for the hardcore fan, they probably know a lot about Justin Marks, but for the casual fan, they probably don't. And it's such a great story, I thought I would talk about it today. So here's a guy that's from Northern California, my neck of the woods, Rockland, California. Has had an incredibly diverse career. I mean, he's done Speed Vision back in the day. He's done SCCA, pro racing. He's done, Rolex Grand Am. I mean, the guy is he's done trucks. He's done Xfinity. Interesting enough, he actually raced for Nice Motorsports in their truck series, which is a team now that my good friend Lawless Allen is driving, the number 45 truck, the Auto Park-It machine, that had a great run in Phoenix, aside from what I think is a very marginal call to make him go to the pits after some light contact with like a handful to go. He would have finished, I think, probably 5th or 6th or 7th, coming from 33rd on the grid. I mean, Lawless is the real deal. He could drive. But to Justin, he's had an incredibly diverse career in the world of motorsports. As a driver, he's had actually what I would consider really, really good success. I mean, one of his first, if not his first, Cup experience was years ago at Sonoma, the road course in Sonoma, which has been known as Sears Point, Infineon, and now Race Sonoma. But Justin's a very accomplished driver. But his father, and this probably tells me a lot about his business acumen, because this is a really sharp guy. A lot of people think that when Ganassi decided to sell all this stuff, Justin cold called Chip Ganassi. Well, that's not really true, because Justin had experience driving for Chip in the Rolex 24, but then also in some NASCAR stuff. So it wasn't like they didn't know each other, but Justin's dad is an incredibly successful businessman. He's a hedge fund equity manager. You know, think about that. He's a minority owner in the Golden State Warriors. He's on the board of directors for GoPro. I mean,
so is he from the Bay?
Yeah.
Okay, so he is from. Okay.
Yeah, but Rockland, which ironically, when I used to go to Lake Tahoe to ski when I was a little kid, there was a restaurant in Rockland, actually kind of in Penryn, which is right next to Dormitory, called the Ground Cow. So, I mean, I drove through Rockland and Penryn every weekend as a kid growing up, and the only thing Rockland was known for way back in the day was where the 49ers trained. But now, I mean, it's a big money community. But anyway, so his dad is obviously a really, really smart guy. Well, It appears that apple did not just fall close to the tree. It stayed, in the tree in a sense, because that business acumen has carried over to Justin, because he when you're an equity manager and you handle that kind of money and you're a partner in a professional basketball team, especially with the success of the Golden State Warriors, you know your shit. I mean, It's not like, you're rubbing pennies together and turning them into nickels. This is a very smart and powerful family. And Justin, he even said, in something I read not long ago, he thinks, looking back now, he should have left the driver role long before he become a team owner, because obviously he tries to go out and buy NASCAR charters. They're, say what you will, it's bullshit anyway.
Yeah.
So he decides to go and buy a team that is going to go away, that already has it, in Chip Ganassi. And Chip's, he's a Detroit kid. This is no.
He doesn't play around.
I know Chip pretty well. Matter of fact, the year I raced the Long Beach Grand Prix, my driver coach Bob Lovenberg was really good friends with Chip. And so Chip, Bob, and I took our recon laps in our golf cart. And Chip's very funny. He's got a quick whip, but this is not a guy that, runs around kissing babies and, dropping newspapers on your front door. He's got nothing better to do. Chip's got some Detroit edge, which is actually cool. I like that.
Yeah, I like that.
But so Justin, according to, the rumors or the stories, cold called Chip Ganassi. Well, maybe. He might have been cold outside, but Justin already knew who he was. And when he heard that Ganassi was getting out of NASCAR, because Chip was just done, Justin called him, and as Chip has said, made me an offer I had to pay attention to. So
Chip said that.
Yeah. So Justin, smart people don't just walk in and say, take all my money. Probably made him an offer that got his attention, but probably not the final offer, if you know what I mean. But they got his attention. And lo and behold, Ganassi Racing becomes Trackhouse. Justin, I'm sure, already had Pitbull in the works because he already had the driver, Daniel Suarez, who has a huge following, not just in Mexico, but here. At Sonoma, he's got his own rooting section. Everybody, the sombreros and the flags. It's very awesome.
Oh, that's sick.
Think about it. Pitbull from Miami. He's got a Latino driver who's the only non-American to win an Xfinity championship. So you look at Latinos have huge interest in motorsports across the board. And there's been so many great drivers. One, Manuel Fangio comes to mind. Maybe one of the greatest drivers ever. But Justin knew what he was doing. And he put himself and his owners and his drivers and his sponsors in a position to win. He also timed it perfectly because with the coming of the next-gen car, Ganassi was not that successful in NASCAR anyway, so it wasn't like he was buying a championship team. So he probably got a bit of a deal, I hope. But with a new car, too, that, as we've said many times during the radio program, greatly leveled the playing field because everybody's starting at ground zero. And boy, did they make it work. They had the right partners. Obviously, they got plenty of money. And as I've said many times, without the dough, there's no go. Let's just say it the way it is. So he's got the business acumen. He put the right people in place. He's got a great driver combination. There's no doubt that Daniel Suarez is learning from Ross Chastain and getting much better as time goes on. And bingo. But it's just, this wasn't NASCAR success just to add water. This is a really smart guy. And boy, I know Floyd Mayweather's involved a bit in NASCAR. He was last year at the Daytona 500 anyway. The name of his driver's escaping me, but he's a really talented young kid that just needs good equipment. I think it's exciting.
We had talked about that when that was breaking news on Race Central on the radio. Yeah, you have to give. It's just there's such a stereotype about NASCAR in a sense, but you really have to sort of take a second look and kind of give them credit where credit's due. It is a pretty diversified. As far as the drivers go, it's not really.
No,
but
no.
I don't think that's because there's a lack of opportunity. I think NASCAR is becoming more diversified.
Well,
and
remember, this used to be called the good old boy sport, or the good old little Southern sport. So, and NASCAR has done a really crappy job in their diversity program. There's been some super talented drivers here in the Rocky Mountains that, fit in that program, and they got into it and they went back to Charlotte and they came back like this is a joke. But maybe if NASCAR can't figure out how to make their diversity program work, I've got my own opinions. I won't even go into it here. But maybe it has to come from the other end. Maybe it needs people like Justin Marks or other intelligent business people that know how to put deals together to find the right partnerships and involve minority drivers and just bring them to the sport, because I got the dough and we got the go. Which, if you think about it, boy, I'm so smart. That's kind of what they did with Bubba Wallace. I mean, how do you have a Joe Gibbs partnership? You got Denny Ham Sandwich as a team owner. You got Joe Gibbs giving you technology, sort of, maybe for a little while. And you got Michael Jordan, back behind the scenes. And I think initially we talked about it too, last year's Daytona 500. Michael was definitely a presence. Actually, I would not be surprised if LeBron James got involved. Because he's that kind of guy. He feeds off the media. This guy's like a media vampire.
Love it or hate it.
Yeah, love it or hate it. I was forced to watch the movie 30 Days of Darkness, and I still have vampire nightmares. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but
dude, speaking of vampires, I watched From Dusk Till Dawn the other day.
Yeah,
dude, that movie is wild.
Yeah, it's been around a long time, but it's good.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah, but watch 30 Days of Darkness. That'll definitely keep you up for a few nights.
Okay.
So anyway, Justin Marks, cool to see the success he's having. I guess we'll see, Justin Marks 2.0 this year. But I as time goes on, let me tell you, all these people in NASCAR, the crew chiefs, the car chiefs, the teams, the sponsors, they're really smart people. And they'll find a way to separate the men from the boys. We'll have to see if the teams that are the newbies or teams that maybe don't have the Hendrick money or the Gibbs money or so on and so forth, we'll see if they can catch up. But that's one of the things I like about the new car. It with the one part process where you can't just fabricate your own stuff in your own shop and throw it on the car. The next gen car. To try to keep the playing field level, or maybe the playing level field. It's a good thing. I like it. I like seeing close racing, and kudos to Justin Marks. But obviously, one really, really smart cat. I'd love for him to be an investor in Race Central.
Oh man, I'm sick. Well, we ought to try and get him on the show.
He'd probably do that, and that's maybe a good lead into our next topic.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. Speaking of partnerships, we've got more to talk about in the next segment, so everybody stick around. We'll be right back after a short break.
Hey folks, Race Central host Kurt Hansen here. Welcome to the newest addition to Race Central Radio, TV, our events, and all the cool stuff we do. It's the audio-visual podcast produced by the ever-charming Sydney Cora. Hey, when it comes time to do commerce, support the people that support us, PDA Road Gear, the oldest radio shop in Denver. It's where all the pros go. They've got lifetime warranty, also for a limited time. Get their super cool radar detector. Never pay for a speeding ticket again. They do it all. Don't trust me. I'm trying to sell you something. Contact Guy and his guys at pdaroadgear.com.
All right, everyone, welcome back into Race Central Unplugged. This is segment 2 of episode 5. Again, I'm Sydney Cora, right next to host Kurt Hansen. Kurt, we just wrapped up talking Justin Marks, but we sort of left off about partnerships and collaborations. So what's the deal? You wanted to talk about the future of Kevin Harvick? What's going on there?
By the way, and I believe PDA Road Gear plays during the break. I've been to the shop many, many times. It's one of the finest stereo and custom and accessory shops in the country. They've been around longer than anybody in Colorado. If it's two-wheel, if it's four-wheel, whether it's sound equipment, custom accessories, they're doing my car right now with a custom sound system and redoing the leather seats. The place is amazing. Even if you're not that close to Denver, I would suggest you check them out at pdaroadgear.com. Do you like my trophy case right here?
Yeah, those are trophies?
No, my wife threw all my trophies in a box and put them in the garage.
Oh,
Hence,
man.
no more trophies
So what
in the
you got
house.
back there? There's bottles in there?
I don't know what's in there.
You don't
I'm
know?
afraid
Okay.
to. I'm afraid to turn around. Probably booze. No, there's booze. There's margarita mix right here and up
Uh-huh.
here. This is some kind of glass thing that my mother-in-law gave us. I mean,
Yeah. Well, we all know Kurt's known for his post-show cocktail, everyone. So he's
yes,
a drinker.
It's a polar bear. That's what I call AJ now. He's like, I'm not the polar bear. I AJ.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Tell everyone who AJ is. So
he's my godson. He's 7 and he's crazy, but I love him to death.
Yeah.
But you'll find out once you get married, you'll be telling your husband, you're not putting that stupid die-cast race car in the house. Go sit in the garage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, trust me. I'll train you, or you'll train somebody. That's the way it works. Okay, so
yeah. Wait. Before we get to it, I will say maybe let's tease for a later podcast. We might have to do a short segment about relationship advice. And you'll have to tell us all the things that you've learned over the years.
Just say yes, dear.
Okay.
That's why I'm still allowed to drive race cars and travel around the country and do this. Well, the race show, the radio show, the TV show, all this stuff. I'm very, very, very lucky.
Okay. Anyways,
yes,
Kevin Harvick.
Don't put racing trophies and TV and radio trophies in the house. They will go to the garage. Okay. So one of the other big stories that's been going on is the future Kevin Harvick. The closer, he was the guy that came to NASCAR as the new Intimidator, driving the black 29 car, got suspended early in his career, much falling in line with the whole, this is right after the passing of Dale Earnhardt Sr., because he was going to be the next Intimidator. And the guy's had one hell of a career and has been an Intimidator. But the fortunes over Stewart Haas Racing the last year or two, I mean, what kind of vegan drink product is that now? It's not green like in the studio the other day, right? Well, it's that same stuff.
That's a tea.
Oh, God. I need a martini. Anyway, so the story, or where there's fire, there's smoke, as I like to put it, is where's Kevin Harvick going? What's he going to do? I've had my own opinions. Everybody else has got opinions. I mean, probably the one that most people are leaning towards, or the easy one to comment on or go, yeah, that's probably going to happen, is go to the booth. Now, he's done some TV stuff in the past. He's really, really, really good. Maybe with his experience and what he knows, he's almost as good calling a race as I am. So the booth, I think, is the easy call, the low-hanging fruit. Maybe if we want to add a little interesting lean to this whole thing is, wait for it, Trackhouse Racing. And I'll explain why. So Keelan, his son, who's a really cool little kid and very animated, boy, that guy's going to be on TV at some point, or a great race car driver. On the side of Keelan's midget, quarter midget, or super midget, or what do they call those things now, is Trackhouse Racing. Justin Marks and Kevin Harvick are really good friends. Harvick is a racer. Justin Marks runs his team, and everybody comments, part of the reason he's so good is he's a racer. He comes from the other side. He comes from being a driver's side of ownership, much like I come from the driver's side of doing my programs, which is why I go on forever and can't shut up. But it makes some sense because another not so low-hanging, I mean, if the booth is low-hanging 1, low-hanging 2 is a whole lot lower than 2. But consultant, maybe part owner, driver coach to Trackhouse. Now, I think Kevin still wants to race. So why couldn't he go to Trackhouse? Much like the way Jimmy Johnson has gone to Petty. Do some select races, Daytona 500, Southern 500, somewhat just select races, be a coach to the kids, maybe be a part owner, and still keep both feet in the world of NASCAR if he wants. Because I think being a racer's racer, which he definitely is, for him just to step away and go to the booth, I think is a bit of a reach. But having said that, I mean, he doesn't need the money. He and Delana got more dough they need. The kid's obviously really talented. But I think he wants to be closer to the sport than just being a commentator.
Right. He's a competitor. He doesn't want to.
It's in his heart, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to just step away because it starts to work on your brain.
Yeah, and once you get involved with the media, it's sort of you can't really express as much. You can't be as opinionated. You can't really give your honest opinion as much. And when you're passionate about the sport, it can be difficult to do that. You know, it can be difficult to look at it objectively. So for a guy as competitive as he is and who loves the sport as much as he does, you know, we'll see.
Well, and he's had a lot of issues with the media. I had a conversation with a gentleman just the other day that has been covering the sport for a long, long time. And he's kind of in the inner circles, I would call it. And he says that Kevin Harvick many times has gone off on him because, boy, you always write when I rip my team. You write when I go off on, you know, people like a crazy person. You go off on me when I stir the pot, which he's done plenty of times. But you don't write or talk about the nice things I do. Like, okay, so I rip my pit crew for ruining my race, but then I take them all out to dinner that night and get them steaks. Well, that's not a story. And this guy's been pissy with the media in the past. And that's okay. So that's a nice story, but you should do that after you just tear them apart on national TV and tell them the whole world that they're garbage. But that doesn't carry a lot of weight with me. I mean, really? Okay, so you rip your crew, your team, and you take them out for steak dinner. I'm not sure that's newsworthy. I think he wants to be involved with the sport. He's a hothead. He's got a loose cannon for a mouth. And if he goes in the media, much like somebody else we know, I think it'd be very hard for him because I think he might just say on national TV, what the fuck was that guy thinking? And that's probably not going to go over too well.
Yeah, I mean, the fans would love it, but the network wouldn't.
Well, the F word will never. Boy, I hope they run a 7-second delay. I'm sure they do. We have someone like Harvick up there. You know, in my 25 years of doing radio, most of the stations I've worked at don't have a dump button. And there's only once that I should have been dumped, but I didn't get dumped. But the context of what I was saying, because I had a Marine on the show that climbed Mount Everest with basically half a leg and half an arm. And I mean, he really got screwed up.
Wow.
By an IED over in Afghanistan, which I learned the reason why they put the IEDs on the right side of the road is because in a convoy, the person on the right side lead vehicle is usually the leader of the whole deal. So they want to kill the boss. But he climbed Mount Everest with some help, but he did it. And I said, holy shit. I mean, we're just sitting here talking about racing, and what you did is totally amazing. Holy shit. And they didn't dump it. Because if you think about it, it wasn't like I was swearing to swear or whatever.
Yeah.
It was in the context, and I don't think anybody would have got upset about it. But that's the only time. Unless you've dumped me a million times I don't know about.
I have.
What?
Little do you know, anytime you say something that I don't like, I just dump it.
So if I say I like Draymond Green, I'm going to get dumped.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, man. All right, Sid, so are we done?
Yes, we're done. That's interesting. Well, we'll definitely have to see what happens with that. And there's no way that Kevin Harvick and Justin Marks haven't just had a discussion, you know?
Yeah.
So more to come on that. Well, anyways, everyone, thanks for tuning in again. I can't believe this is episode 5 already. Stay tuned every Thursday, and then also tune in on the radio every Friday from 3 to 5, The Drive on ESPN Denver 1600.
It's streaming around the country, around the globe at RaceCentralMedia.com. Sid, as always, you're awesome, and I'll see you Friday.
Yes, I'll see you Friday.